Gen X survived the most brutal psychological experiment in modern history, and they never complained once. While everyone obsesses over boomers and dissects Gen Z, there's an entire generation sitting in the corner, saying nothing, judging everything. Born between 1965 and 1980, they were raised by ghosts, shaped by silence, and trained to expect the worst. And here's what neuroscience just confirmed. Their brains are literally wired differently because of it. A landmark study from the University of Wisconsin found that prolonged childhood isolation permanently rewires your amygdala and prefrontal cortex, the threat detection center of your brain. Gen X were the guinea pigs. So if you've ever wondered why they never panic, why they trust nobody, or why they laugh at things that should hurt, this gets dark. It's 1978. You're 8 years old. School ends at 3 p.m. You walk home alone, unlock the door, empty house, no note, no phone call. Just you, TV static, and a box of Cheerios. By 1984, the American Journal of Orthopsychiatry documented 7 million kids between ages 5 and 13 regularly coming home to nobody. 7 million. An entire generation raised on neglect, dressed up as independence. That empty house hardwired their brain to operate in crisis mode permanently. Forget your key? Sleep on the porch. Burn dinner? Eat it anyway. Get hurt? Walk it off. No safety net, just consequences. Psychologists call this a high contingency environment. Actions equal outcomes. No buffer, no forgiveness. That's why Gen X thinks 3 steps ahead while you're still processing step 1. Now here's where it gets brutal. Picture this. Your parents kiss you goodnight. 6 months later, dad's gone. Mom's working double shifts. You're making your own dinner at 9 years old. The 1970s and 80s saw divorce rates hit 50%. Half of Gen X watched their families implode in real time. Then there's Tommy. His dad worked at IBM for 28 years, loyal to the bone, got a pen and a pink slip on a Tuesday. Tommy was 14. He watched his father stare at that pen for 3 hours. That image never left him. The youngest Gen Xers graduated into the dot-com crash. The oldest were hitting their stride when 2008 nuked the economy. Economically traumatized on repeat. Research in the Journal of Adult Development shows Gen Xers exhibit defensive pessimism, not cynicism. Pattern recognition. They hope for good but expect catastrophe because catastrophe keeps showing up uninvited. They're allergic to corporate loyalty but obsessed with personal competence. They can't control getting fired, but they can control being the most valuable person when layoffs happen. And here's something that'll mess with you. Gen X kids were 3 times more likely to experience home accidents because nobody was supervising. Broken bones, burns, cuts needing stitches. But they didn't sue. They didn't blame. They learned, they adapted. Because that's what you do when nobody's coming to save you. But then something weird happened. Despite all this trauma, Gen X became the most quietly empathetic generation alive. They don't broadcast it. They don't post their good deeds. But they show up. At 3 a.m., no questions asked. Dr. Richard Tedeschi's research on post-traumatic growth explains why. People who survive significant adversity don't just recover, they develop hyper-empathy. Gen X reads people like weather patterns, a tone shift, a forced smile. They've clocked it and are planning how to help without making it weird. But there's a cost. Their threat detection never shuts off. That Gen X coworker who needs to sit facing the door, that's not quirky. That's a nervous system trained that danger is always possible. Safety isn't a given. It's earned. Not paranoid, just prepared. And maybe, just maybe, they were better off for it. Maybe those latchkey kids learned something we forgot. That struggle builds resilience. That boredom breeds creativity. That being alone with your thoughts isn't torture, it's training. Maybe constant supervision didn't make us safer. Maybe it made us softer. Maybe helicopter parenting didn't protect us. It just delayed the inevitable crash. Gen X would never say that out loud, but watch how they raise their kids. There's always this edge of figure it out yourself. Here's what breaks my heart about all this. Underneath all that strength, that independence, that dark humor, there's grief. Not grief for someone they lost. Grief for themselves. The version who trusted easily, who didn't rehearse every conversation, who felt light. They grieve a childhood they never fully lived, a softness they couldn't afford to keep. Most people never see it because Gen X learned early. Vulnerability is a liability. Asking for help is admitting defeat. So they don't. They just keep going. Alone. The way they always have. Generation X didn't just endure too much. They became something rare. A generation that holds 2 truths simultaneously. Life is brutal and beautiful. Hope is stupid and necessary. People leave, and it's still worth loving them. They're not better, just different. Shaped when the old world died and the new one hadn't been born. They're the bridge. And bridges don't get attention. They just do the work. The most Gen X thing of all, not caring if anyone notices. If this video felt like home, subscribe. I make psychology deep dives like this every week. Let me know your thoughts below.